Hello, I'm Phil Svitek, 360 Creative Coach. In this episode, I want to talk about how to diffuse a disagreement between people and try to have a civil conversation. I think it's becoming a lost art, really. I think, we're just becoming so polarized, and in fact, we are infinitely creative at coming up ways to divide ourselves instead of coming up ways that we are similar. And for that reason, just something kind of hit me, right? These past few days, and it's just been kind of brewing in my mind. And it's this idea that whoever you're having an argument with, just try to disarm right off the bat. And the strategy I thought of to do that was to ask a question unrelated to the subject, one that you know they don't know anything about, and one that you do. So it's kind of weird because even though you're trying to disarm them, it kind of comes back at it hard, right? Where, it's like a question could be like, hey, do you know what an XLR cable is? And they're like, wait, what the hell are you talking about? And the point is to jump on it immediately and say, okay, great. So we both established that neither of us knows everything. So can we have a civil conversation? So it's about this idea, because a lot of times in these arguments, the other person so believes that they are correct and that they have the answers to the thing, that their perspective is the perspective. And in almost like a shock value sort of way, it's to disengage them so that way they know of like, okay, wait, I don't actually know everything. But it's not just about refuting them and bringing them down. It's about leveling the playing field for both you and the person. So it has to come off sincere, which is tough because, again, the first step of it is you're like coming right at them and confronting them with something that they don't know, right? But the idea is to bring that to the forefront so that way you can disarm them and humble yourself as well. You bring both of you down to an equal level and just saying, hey, ultimately, you have a perspective and I have a perspective and it might be different. But you know what? Let's get to the starting position that neither of us knows everything. And so why don't we take the time to listen and maybe we'll see a new perspective. And maybe we don't walk away from this agreeing, perhaps, right? That's a possible outcome, sort of realistic outcome. But maybe we can at least understand each other and have a little bit of empathy towards each other, right? I think that is a good way to go about it. Because I don't think we do that enough. We just kind of, at least, I like, even just a few years ago, as I perceive it, right? I could be wrong about this, but it was like, at least back then, someone would talk and the other person, they're not really listening, but at least they're waiting until it's their turn to speak and say what they want to say. And that way, the original person then isn't listening to them, right? It becomes weird. So it's not like it's really that much better. But now, just no one's really listening. No one's even pretending to listen at all. They're just yapping away. That's how I perceive it. And so, yeah, we just have to kind of change the parameters. And I think by just really facing it head on of like, okay, hey, do you know what an XLR cord is? What's the dynamic range of a Blackmagic 4K camera compared to a Blackmagic, original 1080p one, right? Just some random question that you would know the answer to, they wouldn't. So that way it disarms, and immediately, as soon as you see their eyes processing like, wait, what? Just being like, okay, great. So neither of us knows everything. So great. We can establish that neither of us knows everything. So can we now have a civil conversation and try to really engage? I don't know. I think it's worth a shot. So yeah, that's kind of what I got. Let me know what you think of this. I'm especially curious if you do try this out, how it works out for you. Again, you have to be really sincere. Like you can't say this and do this without actually being sincere and wanting to hear their perspective. And go into it, the goal shouldn't be to convert anybody. It should be to learn, right? For both, and don't even, not you trying to teach them where they're the ones learning, but you learn something. And when you do that, then I think it's a victory. So anyway, that's what I have for you, but you might disagree, you might agree to some degree, you might have questions. Fine. Ask away in the comment section or hit me up on social media at Svitek. Would love to hear from you and talk about this. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'll see you next time.